Saying you'd have somebody dressed like a buffalo would find their way through, like that was the thing. Remember they rammed they rammed the city hall. You're all no surrender. That was our equivalent of the 6th of January. These guys, ah.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Chatter. Before we get started, I just have a few quick messages. First off, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. It's the best way that you can help us grow. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. It's going to help us rank higher and get more and more views and therefore bigger and better guests. Links for everything will be in the description below. So please enjoy the podcast.
Post.
I don't know, man. I've been considering doing the introduction. Are we rolling that? Well, let's just go for it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Everybody, welcome to another episode of Chatter. It's Dave Elliott back on the show.
Thank you. Yes, it's the second time. I'm feeling very honoured to be here in person this time.
Yeah. The first time we talked, it was like absolutely in the middle of lockdown,
Yes.
and what was it? It was like January of last year, right?
Yeah.
So it was basically a year.
Right in us.
Yeah. You were the first. That's right. You were the first video episode that I recorded.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, and I take it there's been plenty more face to face, and I'm not the first face to face. That
No, you're not.
hurtful. Should have been that. But
Yeah. Well,
that's
you're the
fine.
first one with the new mixer.
Well, there we go. Happy days. That,
Yeah.
At least that's something.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a bit wild to think it's been a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
Because we also joked about you being the most, obviously the most beautiful person I could have possibly started with the video episodes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, a lot has happened in the year. It's been a tough year for everyone, as you can see physically. No exception here. But
Well, yeah, but I was very keen to get you on the show because apparently, as we mentioned before we started, comedians are now the people that you should take most seriously
Correct.
in the world.
Correct.
You should not worry about what politicians say. You should only worry about what comedians are joking about.
yes, I mean, I would actually take the word joke out and just say, listen, what comedians say. What we say when we're on the stage. Take it verbatim. Take it as what it is.
As absolute just gospel. Yeah. Okay.
for
Like
sure.
as if you were Moses I was going to say on the mount. Moses wasn't on the mount.
No.
No, as if you were Jesus
Yeah,
on the
Moses
mount.
was in the ark, wasn't he?
Something like that. Yeah. He taught them to swim, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He did. Well, I had to, yeah. He mugged them, yeah. That was Noel, wasn't it? Noel.
It was.
Noel's ark.
Noah's Ark. Yeah. I mean, I've been listening to Jordan Peterson's discussions about the Ark. And about he did a whole lecture series on the early books of the Bible, and
Yeah.
he basically believes that they're like stories that maybe like there was like historical fact involved in it,
Yeah.
but that the stories they're telling have far more like psychological significance than we're giving it credit for, and that's why it lasted so long. Which, I mean, what does that say about Mrs. Brown's Boys?
I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. Like 100, 200 years from now, could they be like, listen, Agnes Brown said, Who knows? The way we're going now, they could be like, listen, what they said there was completely sincere.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're telling stories that I'm sure will echo through the ages.
But, I mean, obviously, a lot of people are brought up on the Bible and stories in Bible class, and there's clearly, like as some of the young children, you read, there's points to them. Now, when does it get to the point where, people are taking those stories as being literal? When's that? There's got to be some point where you go, logistically speaking, that may or may not have happened.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But yeah, were you religious? Like, were you brought up religious?
I was brought to church because I think my parents just wanted rid of me for a few hours on Sunday. So I'm from a mixed marriage, so kind of both sides. So it was my Protestant granny kind of won the battle. I was the hottest free agent in all of church at the time. Both my grannies wanted me one side with the other, but I think my Protestant granny offered me Mars bars and Premier League stickers every week, so I went, I'll go there.
Nice.
And yeah, just that was it. I went to church up until actually there was a teacher who was I don't know, it's not a substitute teacher. Is it?
Yeah, substitute.
Yeah.
Pull that sucker a little bit.
She
closer
would
to your
have
face there, yeah.
stepped in the odd time in our primary school, and she was not a nice lady. Like she was, I was terrified of her, you know, and I must have been at 10 or 11, and she was not nice. But in church, she was like, you know, people were like treating her like a hero. She was the big shot in church, and I was sort of going to myself in my little undeveloped brain, she's not very nice. Why is she? There's something not right here, and I just think that sort of was the thing that took me away, to be like, I'll just leave an open mind and let people think what they want. But for me, no.
You couldn't handle the discipline.
No, I just couldn't, and I couldn't understand why people like this evil woman. I just couldn't figure it out.
Well, maybe it's like that thing with the priests. Like, you know, like people had to be nice to the priests in ancient times because they were the only channel through which you could speak to God.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like something like that. They think that because she's working kind of for the church, that she's a representative of God, and therefore, you know, we have to be nice in case she reports back.
Yeah, well, that's fair. But in school, she was definitely not working for. I would say she's maybe working, you know, for his old pal. You know, I would say she may be working for the man downstairs.
The ex.
Yeah, the ex. I'd say she had a lot of trouble with old Lucifer. You know, him and her very close. But yeah, I just remember distinctly going, I can't like this woman, and I don't like that everyone likes her here, and it just wasn't for me from then on, really. But I do now see the benefit of Sunday school, and I do hope somebody will take my children to Sunday school, so I get a couple of hours peace.
Just someone.
Well, definitely not me, just somebody. Yeah. But then again, there are teachings that do, you know, teach you some right and wrongs at an early age, so I think there's a benefit to it.
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. I mean, what you mentioned there, like the way people are in church is that, I don't know, like my experience has often been, and this is not universal, but a lot of the people who are preaching about the values of Jesus and, you know, turn the other cheek, treat people like you'd want to be treated yourself, love your neighbor, you know, be the good Samaritan, don't be judgmental, like just, you know, the kind of things that you know, you get taught are the way to be a good person. It's like, I find that a lot of the people who are preaching it hardest, like, embody it least in the way they act in the world. Yeah,
and it's trying to get people to see, you know, the irony in that sometimes. Because again, my granny, you know, should have gone to church every week, would have, you know, very much liked to have been, you know, seen a certain way by her congregation, but at the same time, didn't want to go to my mum and dad's wedding because my mum was a Catholic, you know. So it's like, hey guys, you know. But then obviously over the years, I think, you know, they repaired that. But again, that issue, you know. So
yeah,
if you were to go to her with the Bible and go, but why? But this says this. You shouldn't be behaving like that. She'd probably go, no.
You've misunderstood that.
Yeah,
that's not the correct translation.
No. It means anyone that I decide is okay to like, anyone else, no. Rid of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally what we're seeing with the thing with the comedians these days. I mean, with Joe Rogan, Jimmy Carr, Dave Chappelle. Like, I mean, it keeps happening. Like, people aren't content with not watching them. Yeah. They have to make sure they can never have a show again.
But Joe Rogan, no, I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Joe Rogan. I would, obviously, like most people now, I would dip in and out of his podcast depending on who the guest is. You know, there's a lot of things he would talk about that sometimes I go, you don't know, you're just bluffing that. You're spoofing, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, but yet he gets on like he knows everything.
When he's talking to Elon about AI, that's the best one.
Yeah, like, come on, Joe. But then if you take a step back from it, you go, the guy is a comedian. He started off doing his podcast with comedians, but just shooting the shit, talking, you know, saying silly things for silliness sake, you know. And now, because he's got this platform that is so popular and so many people enjoy it, that they're like, actually, this guy, and you're like, he is a comedian. Bear in mind, you know what? And I just think because I suppose he challenges a lot of maybe mainstream narrative that, you know, people that gets people's backs up. At the end of the day, you know, you should be allowed to still, you know, have your podcast, have your own opinion. This is the problem.
Yeah.
It's as if nowadays people can no longer have an opinion. It has to be.
Oh no, you can have an
this.
opinion. It's like you can't have the wrong opinion.
Yeah, but there you go, and that's what I find frustrating, because then someone will come at you with an opinion, say I think this, and if you disagree with that, but what makes your opinion correct and my opinion wrong? And again, I think like choice is an important thing when it comes to content. There's so much content available. You can find anything, and I remember hearing something recently that I never thought about it like that. What you follow on social media is tailored by what you're interested in. So you follow accounts or say sports people you like, celebrities, comedians, politics, whoever you want, whatever is your narrative that you believe, you follow that. So then you're seeing that every day.
Yeah.
It feeds into that. So then you see something a bit different. You go, what?
Yeah, like that's literally like it's the definition of an echo chamber.
Yeah.
Or a filter bubble. It depends exactly. Like the two terms kind of overlap a bit. But I wrote a lot about it in my first book actually. And it gets even crazier than that. So it's like what happens is so say you've selected like a certain, especially if it's like, because everything's fucking politics these days.
Yeah.
It's like if you have chosen stuff that's of a specific political leaning, or even just like vaguely in one direction, right? It'll give you the stuff that's in that direction, but then it'll like push you like more extreme things. And the more things that you like from one particular like side of whatever issue, the more it will feed you that, right?
Yeah.
And then the only things from the other side that you see are the retweeted like most extreme crazy people from the other side, and then you start to like parody what the other side of an opinion is, and it just makes everyone think that they are the only sane people and everyone else is insane, and therefore they are the right ones, and it gives them some sort of like moral high ground.
That's where I think that what you need to do is just choose something else, or go off that, or but people that just seem to like they forget that they don't have to see certain things. Like, for example, I saw something the other day on Twitter that I did not want to see. It was some guy jumping off a bridge, and I was like, why am I seeing this? And then like the people underneath it were like, oh, here's another angle of it. I'm not looking at this. This is like, why would you do that? But then there are some people out there that clearly like that. And those are the people I go, maybe watch them. But those, like, there are people that like weird stuff like that. People will share videos. You'll be like, oh, look at this. I remember there's a video going about some guy that jumped out of a window in Dublin somewhere, and he caught his hand on a fence. And people are like, how funny is that? I'm like, not funny. Because my first thought is, really sore. How much money is that going to cost him to get fixed? There's going to be repercussions. And it just stressed me out. But some people are like, oh, this is really funny. But then I go, right, I don't want to see this stuff. So I said, look, could you not send that into the group, please? I don't need to see this. And they're like, oh, you're very sensitive. I'm like, I just don't like to see people's limbs ripped off their body. No harm to you,
Squeamish?
Oh, very. Squeamish, and heights. That's another thing I'm terrified of.
But I'm not. I've never really been great with heights. I'm getting better. I was in a hot air balloon. It was tethered to the ground.
Yes.
But it was still in a hot air balloon, and I was like, okay, this is good. I'm not freaking out here.
I have this weird, and I don't know what this is, and there's just it's a thought process that goes in my head. It's, I could do this, and for me, anytime I'm high. No, well, up in the air, not under the influence. But anytime I'm too far off the ground, I think to myself, if the notion took me, I just jump, and that terrifies me because.
Do you ever stare at the airplane door and just go, "What if?"
But sometimes you do. Like, I remember whenever I was in Edinburgh for the Fringe, and every day I had to walk across this bridge, and every day I thought, if the notion took me, I could just jump off here. Not that I was going to, or had the want to do that, but I just thought, what if I trip, or what if something could happen? And I thought, what is that inside somebody that just that like curiosity that might make you do something stupid? And then I tell myself, don't do that. And if I'm on a height, I think I could slip, I could fall. If I'm in any situation whereby an accident or I'm clumsy. If something like that happened, and then how do you justify that? But again, it's not for me, it's for people be like, oh, he jumped off this. I'm like, no, I didn't. I tripped. I'm clumsy. I didn't want this to happen. It frightens me.
Do you see when you're on a plane, right? If you're scared of heights, because I get this sometimes, right? I could be sitting down, right, on the plane at the window, looking out the window and thinking, right, It's fine. I'm just not playing. Normal. But when I get up and walk along the plane,
Yeah.
I become very aware that there's nothing except like a little
Yeah.
bit of metal and maybe the bags, and then that's it for
Yeah.
30,000 feet.
But then I think sort of that, because I wouldn't be scared on planes. Again, turbulence would make me go, oh no. But I also think because I know for a fact that everybody would just be incinerated and gone in a heartbeat, a bit of that gives me comfort to know that within a second, whereas it's like, I think thought is the problem. So if I were to fall from somewhere, I'd be like, I'm going to, oh no. You know, it would be I just have always, and especially rocks near like a cliff edge, rock sea, that's the ultimate.
You're not like a cliff jumper sort of dude
no.
then.
No, not at all. Like I remember when I was in New York with my wife, she wanted to go up the Empire, or not the Empire State Building, Statue of Liberty, and we're only allowed up to the pedestal. And I was like, don't go near it, don't. And it's almost like I'm more afraid of other people than myself. Like, don't you go near it, please. And she's like, I am fine. I'm like, but this is really making.
Is there a barrier? There's got to be a barrier.
But it's up to about here. And
it's only up to here.
I know, but I was just getting so panicked. And I think the thought of other people, I don't know. It's the thought of, that's my worst nightmare, anyone falling off anything. Yikes. So I just think for me, I don't watch stuff like that. I tune out of it because I know it makes me feel terrible. And sometimes, you know, we were talking before we recorded there that, like, what if somebody just, you know, what is the end goal? Like, what would somebody who has been offended at Jimmy Carr's joke say? What would make them happy? Where should they stop with Jimmy? Should he be executed? Is that what they?
Yes.
Cancel him. We should put him in prison. Execute him.
It's not enough. We should execute people with the wrong opinion.
Yeah, and then what do you do with his ashes once he's executed? You don't give them to his family.
No. You should.
How dare you?
You should like throw them somewhere really awful. You know,
like Lisburn.
Maybe Ballywalter. No?
Is it Ballywalter, man?
Yeah,
a culture.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he doesn't exist. He's off the grid.
Of course. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
He is an aberration. It's just an AI there.
Nice. There's a hologram. Very nice.
Yeah. We did serious. I know. I was saying about the new mixer, but the new hologram is the real upgrade.
No, well, I mean, it is good. The mixer does look good, but I'm trying to work out where it's projected from. But
it's actually like a little device that rolls along the floor, so it's being projected from where his foot is. You can't even tell. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very impressive. Well, I tell you what, it's a good bit of kit.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way forward. So you should get these AI holographic podcast producers. They're the best.
I was gonna say, could you just get me as a hologram so I can just do my podcast from my house?
There's it's like an NPC. There's not much there. You can't do comedy with them. You know.
True, fair. Like actually,
unless you're saying your comedy is that bad, but I don't think so.
Well, it depends who's listening to it. Like, you know, some people may say, but I watched the show about Ronnie James Dio's wife, and she has done a full like hologram concert of him, and they just branded it Dio, and you're like, well, that's chancery of the highest degree. But she's like, yeah, it looks like him. The way the hair moves and all is a bit like him. So like, I think a full band comes out and plays, but then he's
because they've done that with like Tupac and Michael Jackson. Can you see if you can find one of those videos?
But like, whenever like I saw her interview first, and she's like, it's just like him, and it's like a PlayStation 3 graphic. You're going, nah, no, not really. Poor Ronnie.
Oh. Yeah, like a hologram video, like either the hologram of Tupac, or I'm pretty sure they did one of Michael Jackson as well, but maybe the Tupac one has got better stuff. Because they just recreated it, because South Park did a whole thing where they were, here it is, wonderful, Tupac hologram. I got that.
But this is
This is the hologram.
PlayStation graphics, isn't it?
A little bit. Can we get some volume? Is that going to work? Oh no, we can't hear it. That's
what I would do would just, I would get a man's physique of Tupac and maybe just paint on his tattoos and.
Yeah, surely you'd be better just doing that. You get in the lip sync.
Yeah, I would go for that rather than.
Yeah, don't worry about it, man. We saw this live.
But it just looks like a ghost, doesn't it? Like it looks like a ghost in Ghostbusters. That's what the hologram looks like.
Yeah, that's true actually. But I mean, like, have you seen the new South Park episodes? So they got paid $900 million by Paramount. 900. Basically $1 billion they got paid, right? Which is just like it's like people think that Joe Rogan got paid a lot of money.
Yeah,
like times that by 10.
Yeah, well,
isn't it? But they got paid to make 5 seasons and 14 standalone 1-hour specials.
Yeah.
So they did 2 of the standalone specials as like a 2-part sort of thing. So it was about, it was called post-COVID, or it was the return of COVID and then post-COVID, or something like that. And they had Alexa as a hologram girlfriend.
Okay.
That like abuses you and like screams at you and then stops in the middle of fighting with you to ask you if you want to order like some new item. It's brilliant. And I got so scared. I was like, shit, this is where we're going.
I mean, it is, you know, I think that's like, and I've said before, I'm not a big technology guy, and I get frightened by certain things. And especially, I think what we should do is potentially arrest James Cameron and ask him what he knows, because I think he has come from the future and he knows everything. Avatar, predicted the metaverse.
He predicted Titanic.
Yeah, well, there you go. He predicted it as well. And Terminator, those guys, he called it.
Yeah, that's true.
Before that, who even knew what self-service
Maybe he
checkouts
is
were?
Terminator, and that's a biopic.
There you go. It could very well be. You know, it's and I just you know, and then someone said to me recently too, I said, yeah, in Terminator are going to be merging humans and computers, and then they're like, look at your hand, and I looked down, and I had one of those robotic hands. No, I looked down and I had my phone in my hand, and they were like, yeah, you already are. People can't live without their phones anymore, so
we're cyborgs.
And then I just started going, my brain started going into overdrive, and I had to just sit down. It's too much.
Because it's external memory as well.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
That's because, yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I know. I was reading Daniel Levitan's book. It's called The Organized Mind, and he was talking about how, like, previously people's external memory was everything they could write down and try and like reference in like it was in their hand. So I could like have my external memory as all my phone numbers in my phone book or something like that. But now our external memory can just be anything that you could get a relatively quick answer from Google is our external memory. And therefore we've just like outsourced it all to our phone, and no one has like those facts in their mind anymore, unless they're one of those people that just like has
Rain Man.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. Yeah. They got like an eidetic memory or whatever.
No, that when you think about it like that, it is wild, you know. And I suppose when you mentioned too, like photographs, and like instead of having these reams of photo albums that you'd have over the years,
I miss the photo albums, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think we tried to do that to a lesser extent, but just, you know, some of them are nice. But again, it's always selective. Some of our nicest photos we'll put of just the girls or whatever to, you know, have again, because that will last. We don't know what the technology will be in another 10, 15 years time. So at least if you've got a hard copy of them as kids in the photo album, you can give it to them on an 18th birthday or a wedding day or something. Whereas like you think of all the old phones you may have had with memories on them, photos on them, voice recordings, all that's maybe the technology's obsolete now, just sitting in a box somewhere. So at least if you have an actual, you know, photo album, this is gonna go. Oh, is it the police?
Yeah, low tech, the police.
Well,
no.
It looked like the police.
What did we say?
It looked like a guy coming in.
We didn't say anything cancelable yet, did we?
No, I don't think it's the technology police. James Cameron has sent
James Cameron. We know too much.
You know, another weird thing is too, and again, this is coming from a very limited technology mind. Everyone's giving off about Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg and this is evil and blah blah. Then he's like, hey, metaverse, and everyone's like, love him again. Like, what? He's a master of manipulation, and he's.
I don't know if everyone loves him again though, man. Because like,
but all the dodos, you know, all the lower level people are like, well, this is very bright and it's cartoonish, and we can, you know, and the people are behind it. Whereas I don't know.
I'm not convinced that that's going to be the metaverse that takes off.
No,
I think it will be something like Decentraland or Sandbox, because they are. I don't know about Sandbox, but Decentraland is a DAO, so it's a decentralized autonomous organization. I have that right, don't I? Yeah. Okay. But basically it's run by the people who own stakes in it, and that's the people who own land in Decentraland. So they've bought digital real estate, which is a thing, and it sounds bonkers, but it is a thing. And they are the people that have a say in how Decentraland runs, whereas Mark Zuckerberg's one is going to be Meta's metaverse from the top down. And I like to credit the collapse of Facebook to my leaving Facebook about a year ago.
And do you what was your reason for leaving? Because it's something for me, I can't leave it at the minute, because then I will lose my comedy page.
Yeah, that's fair.
Know,
see, I didn't have a big podcast page on there. It was like a couple hundred people. I was like, it's worth it. But the thing that I was like, I saw Jen Psaki, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but I saw Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, give a statement about how they were working in conjunction with Facebook to remove people and tell Facebook what should be removed. And I was just like, I'm out. That was it. I was like, private corporations and the government should not be colluding to censor people. That's it. I'm done. You will not profit off my data anymore. So I've ditched that. I ditched Instagram, and I'm slowly like trying to get all of my conversations onto Signal and Telegram, so it's off WhatsApp. But yeah, that was it for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just more so than anything, I just would love to be off Facebook, really. You know, it doesn't do it for me, really. You know, other than being tagged in silly little things, you know, that's about it.
You could get your producer to do all the posting to your page, because you don't have to run it personally.
Yeah, but then I don't even know if he has it. He might be ahead of the game. So because you need to have an account, a personal account linked to. If they change that, you'd be flying. I could just, you know, have my company, and it's not even. I
mean, you could always make like just a single person page for it, and then give them the permissions and upload through them, but then you're never actually using your personal account.
Yeah, true, because I had to go and call a lot of people, because just years ago, random people would just add you, and they'd be like, who is this guy? Like, what is this guy? I don't want to see this guy. Yeah. See you. Yeah.
To be fair, I made the mistake of forgetting to get some phone numbers from people before I deleted it, because that was the only place I was in contact with them. So I had quite a job trying to track some of those people down again.
Well, what you should have done is just rang James Cameron's office, and he would have just gone.
He would have had the number.
He would have probably had it in his brain.
Yeah.
I mentioned it. There you go.
Yeah, well, he probably, if he's from the future, he probably has the Neuralink. Yeah. Because, like, I don't know, do you know much about the Neuralink thing?
I've just heard that it was Elon Musk doing that. Yeah. That and again, it sounds sci-fi and outlandish, but then you actually think about what goes on in terms of like operations and little things little bits of machinery that can go into the body that are fine. So it's not, when you take a step back, it's not actually that mad. But when you think like, what's it going to be? Is it going to be like, are people going to have a socket for like memory cards in their head in the future? Or what's the next move?
Yeah, like a whole bunch of like sockets just coming out the sides of their head. You know, like maybe then you get like extra memory storage like in the elbow.
But then what happens if like it records what your eyes see, and you just happen to be out, and you know you just have a wee glance at somebody, you're like, did you look at her? And your wife says to you, I'm like, no, and they're like, show me the video. And you're like, oh no. So
we'd have this amazing technology that would allow us to interface with like all other humans in a way that we couldn't even perceive. We have like, because the point is more bandwidth. The point is that we don't like that the inputs that we can absorb through our senses are really low, and that he wants to be able to like expand the bandwidth. That's how he describes it. So we would take that incredible power that could be used for, I don't know, solving world hunger, or getting us a peace in our time, and solving all the greatest problems of the universe. And you're saying that humans would just use it to see if
correct
husbands were checking out the girl in the
arguments. Yeah, that's what they would be. Be like, no, you were looking there. You'd be like, I wasn't. And then would it work with sunglasses? The old classic sunglasses in the holiday trick. You put the sunglasses on, your eyes can be anywhere, no one knows. And he'd be like, show me your internal hard drive. And you're like, oh no, they have to.
Oh, it's not worrying.
Yeah, no, not at all.
No.
But then, like, is it going to end up like tariffs on phones? Like, certain people will be able to have to pay into companies to get extra bandwidth with, or will they have to?
That's a good point.
And will that then separate? And what happens if you end up, tweaking somebody who may not have the most grey matter upstairs, and they end up becoming more, it's tampering with nature too much.
Yeah, it gets to that point where it's like, who was it? I think it was Eric Weinstein said, we are gods, but for the wisdom.
Yeah.
Because we can do a lot of shit, but I mean, I don't think we're smart enough to know what we're playing with.
No. But then, like, obviously, you think the brain is the most advanced piece of technology in the history of mankind, isn't it?
Oh, so, that's a bit philosophically brilliant, isn't it?
Then where are we going? I mean, definitely clip that, because I've never said anything like that in the podcast before.
Please, we'll get that on Twitter. Yeah.
But with that, it's not inconceivable that you could program a computer to eventually overthrow you. So there we go, James Cameron, once again.
I'm sure he is on it.
He's probably called it.
Yeah,
And then
maybe it
it's
was
like,
his brother back in the future.
oh, R.I.P. Poor Tony. But and again, back to my fear, jumping off high heights and bridges. Maybe he's planted that in me. Oh no, I'm paranoid now.
Yeah, just like, where does your life really begin?
Oh, but then it's like, have you seen the movie, the Tom Cruise classic Minority Report? Mm-hmm. Like, we're not a million miles off that. Like you said, you study criminal law. My degree was actually in criminology and criminal justice, so it covered some of those topics, and with profiling and other advancements, crime prevention, it's not inconceivable to think, you take all these attributes, there you go.
Yeah.
But then again, you see so many times now how often people were maybe on watch lists and then still
not like, but just all of the major terrorists of the past 20 years were on watch lists.
Who's doing the PR?
Who's
there?
watching?
But who's doing the PR to say, put that out, let them know they were on a watch list? That's okay. If I was to be like, we didn't know this guy has just come out of nowhere. No, we were watching them and they still did it. And you're like,
It doesn't make them seem very competent.
No.
Like, you can imagine them sitting in like the cave in Afghanistan, like laughing about it, being like, they were watching us and we still managed to do it.
Well,
Yay!
I mean, the greatest, when you look back at it, and again, maybe this is just, you have to have a laugh at these things. They think how much it cost the search for Osama bin Laden to find him in his house. Like they're in the caves in Afghanistan. Nah, Google Osama bin Laden's gaff.
His house
He's
in
just
Pakistan.
in his gaff in Pakistan.
The janitor from Scrubs fucking predicted that.
That he was just at home.
No, he was in Pakistan.
Yeah.
There's like a whole episode about Scrubs, and there's like a fight about Iraq and bin Laden, and they eventually like ask the janitor at the end, and he's like, I reckon he's probably in Pakistan.
Yeah.
And I saw it the other day, and I was like, I had to Google it to make sure it was before.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy shit.
In his gaff, in his house, Would you not just like have a look there? And then even worse,
They tried that with Anne Frank, and they didn't find her.
No, but she was very quiet, to be fair. She got touted on, but whenever they went to get him, they tried to be like covert, and they crashed the helicopter in his garden. You're like, guys, who's doing this? What are you doing? And like, maybe bin Laden was so chilled that he didn't have like secret tunnels to even escape from his own house. So they crashed a Chinook in his back garden. He's still like, bollocks, I can't get out. It's wild. I mean,
some people don't even believe that it was bin Laden. Because they're like, so what? You went in the middle of the night. We could barely see anything. You shot the most valuable prisoner in U.S. history on site, and then dumped his body in the sea where no one can ever find it.
Well, I mean, there's an argument to say maybe.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it wasn't bin Laden, but
But it's like people, I did find. I mean, this is a terrible joke, and I don't mean it as a joke, but it was a bit fishy. With what happened with him. Like, you look at all the other lads.
You're saying we didn't get to the bottom of it?
No, we didn't.
He ended up at the bottom.
He did, yeah. But I just don't. I just don't know why they were so secretive about that. And I do think, maybe loads of dough was exchanged, and bin Laden now is living in a really sweet cave in Afghanistan, perhaps.
Yeah.
But
some beachfront property in Cuba, probably.
Yeah, well, you could well believe
with
it.
Trudeau right now.
I mean, if he shaved his beard, you would know him.
Right.
Just think could be a little guy.
I mean, that seems like it's probably against his religion. I mean, it feels like he's probably quite passionate about that.
But then I think if they're like, listen, we're going to kill you to death, or we'll give you all this money and you can shave your beard.
Well, I mean, they think the 42 virgins or whatever are waiting for them. Is it 42? I don't know.
Yeah, it's too many to handle. Well, one's difficult enough, but I think I just it's a bit strange. But even like you look at other dudes as well, like Gaddafi, they know he got because there he is. When they find him in the street, didn't they? Yeah, they did. That's pretty grim. Like that. As much as you're like, he was not a great guy by any stretch. But see, even when you see like, mob rule kill, you're like, that's hard to see anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure anyone deserves that fate.
No,
well, very few people. There's probably a few people who deserve it.
But then it's like we get. If you started, this is like, I suppose it's like a much more severe version of what we're discussing about what's appropriate within comedy. Like, what's the best of two options? Like, you look at Saddam Hussein on paper, you go, yeah, awful, dictator, tyrant, then you're like, get
ISIS.
involved there, overthrow him. There's ISIS, and you're like, well, what do you do?
Yeah.
You know, what do you do? You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. So
Yeah. I mean, I guess the case that a lot of people would make is that we probably shouldn't be involving ourselves in the murder and or overthrow of governments all around the world.
yeah, I mean,
Seems like
yeah, but it's like, I remember somebody said to me once that they were like, if so and so was involved in, like, say you're walking down the street and you see a fight on the other side, if you keep walking down and ignore it, you know, people say you're a bad person, this or that. But if you go and get involved, you're then making that problem your problem, where otherwise it's not your problem. So it's like, do you want to get, like, 'cause you don't know why the fight's happening, what the purpose behind it is. And I don't know if this is a falsehood or if there's any truth in this. You can maybe research it. But I remember seeing something somewhere. It sounds like something just out of a film, but a guy crashed either a car or a lorry into a lake, and someone stopped, pulled him out, and then transpired that he was a serial killer. So afterwards, you know, he went on to kill like 15 other people. So then that person's like, if I let that guy die, I'd have had this guilt forever that let someone, but then you don't know the full context of the situation. So what would you do? I don't know.
That's pretty heavy. I mean, well, they almost killed Hitler in 1943 or early 44 with Operation Valkyrie. You know that film, the one with Tom Cruise. Yeah. So then that went on to be like the bloodiest year of the war.
Yeah.
It was like 1.5 million dead or something like
that. But you know what? See, no, you definitely don't clip this. But Hitler gets a bad rap.
Oh my God! Right,
rightly so.
Yeah, let's just do it.
Rightly so. But his friends weren't great people either.
Oh, no.
So you know, if you whack him, what's the Goebbels, what's the Goering's going to do? You know, they're all, you know,
yeah, that's right. This went a different direction than I was thinking.
So you know, everyone's like, it was all him. But like, I've seen Goering. You know, I look at him and I'm like, this guy. You know, he loved it. You could tell by his outfits and all. He just, you know, he could tell and Goebbels was an evil wee man.
Yeah.
So then with
Himmler as well.
Himmler, yep. You know,
Mengele, like there was no shortage of evil cunts at the top of that.
No, like, like to think about what they did and think that like there would have been a meeting to be like, I think this is what we should do to exterminate entire races, and people are like, the most effective way. It's great. It's great, and people are going back in their brainstorm. But how do we do this on a mass level? Okay, it's insane. It's insane to think about that had happened.
Yeah, they had to have that conversation.
But then it's like, you know, you look at Boris Johnson, you know, and you go, he's at the top of the chain. Boris Johnson is the Hitler of his own party.
It's true.
But then there's probably Dominic Cummings in the Nazi party too that we don't even know about.
Yeah, there's the Dominic Cummings. That's a good point. Who was the one
mastermind?
Really? Yeah. Because then, well, Boris doesn't just have Dominic Cummings either. He has Linton Crosby as his long-term advisor, who was he's an Australian like election expert, and he ran like all of the Conservative campaigns for like the past 10 years or something. So there's a whole bunch of advisors around them. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's really interesting. You know, this is like funny, but also a little horrifying. The Nazis were planning to try and take all the Jews to Madagascar. That was like a legit. I think it was called Operation Unthinkable. I think.
And they've called that Operation Unthinkable.
I think it was Operation Unthinkable. Can you look up what it was called when they sent them to Madagascar?
Unthinkable.
Yeah, maybe
and
not.
What are they going to do?
They were just. I have no idea. They're planning to just ship them to Madagascar. Yeah, maybe. I mean, like, say that had happened, right? That place would be like bouncing.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Also, Jimmy Carr would be in no trouble. You know, if they just shipped everyone to Madagascar. It'd be grand.
Displaced.
Yeah.
You know, no one put in the gas chamber.
But then what was the pitch there? Were they in the meeting being like, listen, guys, I think what we're doing here, bit much.
Yeah. But I think the final solution only came after the Madagascar plan. Is because seriously.
So someone was like, no, Madagascar won't work. We need something a bit more.
Right, you're joking. But as far as I remember, this is how it went down, is that they wanted to ship them all off to Madagascar. Then there was like more Jews than more people, not just Jews, mainly Jews, but they were like imprisoning and putting into these camps, and then they were basically unable to they weren't successful enough militarily that they were able to ship them off to Madagascar.
Yeah.
And therefore they had to come up with some other solution. And that's what they came up with. It's just like, oh, we'll just murder.
That's insane. And what did Madagascar think about it? Did they negotiate that with them? Be like,
I mean, I highly doubt that they had phoned the government and they were fine with it.
yeah, I know. It's like, nah, I'd rather you didn't. You know, Madagascar, to be fair, is, they say, they're one of the most diverse islands in the world for wildlife.
Really?
So, you know, they may have welcomed other people.
Maybe.
So, who knows?
1878 for the first suggestion.
Seriously?
Yeah.
The
I don't
Nazis
know.
can't even claim that as like an original idea?
It was explored in the 30s, but for
So,
There you go.
was
There
this,
wasn't enough space.
was this what the pitch was then for what eventually ended up being Israel? Were they just looking for plots to be
Well,
the
they just
Jewish
went, well,
state?
you know, we've tried Madagascar and that's
Yeah.
not going to work.
Nah, I mean,
So we'll just give them a spot in somewhere nice and peaceful.
yeah,
We'll-
perfect.
Yeah.
That'll work out well. I mean, maybe that's what they need to do now. But listen, this is how to solve the conflict that we have at the minute. We just need to relocate Israel to Madagascar. What about it? Let's see.
Maybe temples and all.
Everything,
Everything,
all to
the whole lot.
Madagascar. But
Maybe.
it is. It beggars belief, that doesn't it? The whole thing. But then it's like,
That's not the one. Wow, okay, that is pretty bad. I was not going to say that's not even like the only mad thing to happen.
no,
It's like the 20th century is full. You know, there's a guy who wanted to dam the Med.
no.
He wanted to put a dam at the Straits of Gibraltar,
Okay.
and somewhere in the Black Sea, and then at the what do you call it, the Suez Canal. That's it, right there, where it goes to Egypt, basically. And he wanted to dam the Mediterranean and drain like 100 meters of sea out of there, and like populate all the basin of the Med. And there was it was like a genuine thing this guy was determined to do. Can you find this? Yeah, here it goes.
Oh, wow.
Atlantropa. So they wanted to drain.
Oh, and is he German too?
Yes, he is German. Yeah, of course he's German.
Of course.
Well, engineering, you know. So like this is like, look at all the extra land it would have created, especially in between Italy. Venice would have been fucked.
Yeah.
No more boats going to Venice.
You can just turn the gondolas into puddle ducks, though. Put the wheels on them and then scoot about.
Would you still have to
Yeah.
Would you still have to
You just-
use the big oars to get around?
Just for acting, yeah, it'd just be obsolete, but do it anyway.
Because you could film it like from the top of it, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't know it was happening. You just don't get the wheels at the bottom.
Yeah, very romantic.
Yeah.
That is wild. I guess the only thing that I think is as mad as damming the Mediterranean is building a bridge from Donaghadee to Scotland. There you go. Listen, Donaghadee is the perfect spot. It's a beautiful. Don't do it. Like it would just make it easier. Why? Because we want to be part of it. Okay, it's very strange, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck was going on with that. Because, like, have you seen the Irish Sea? It's not a pleasant looking sea. You know,
No.
I don't even know how you'd build that. Look, yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
The fucking. You got the mock up.
Oh wow.
That's how it would look at Donaghadee. And that would be the
What I
whole way
love-
across.
What I love is that sentence. How Donaghadee might look with a bridge
Bridge
to
to
Scotland. And you know what the answer is? That terrible. It
Terrible.
looks all like Donaghadee is a really beautiful, little picturesque area, and they just want to plonk. Well, what would you get out of that other than traffic build up?
Probably just traffic.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess I don't even know like how much what their goal is there, because like how much traffic do you really think is coming back?
well, I think that the suggestion and the goal potentially from the Democratic Unionist Party's point of view is they believe to be part of the union you have to physically touch and be connected. So I think that we are now touching. This means our identity is secured. And then,
Can you just like put a rope across or something?
well, I mean, they could do it. Just a few boys, just across the water. Just like I don't know. It's wild. Like I don't want to start talking about local politics. I get myself wound up.
That's right. They're all morons. That's
wild.
they're all
But
just idiots.
as much as they are morons, they still affect our day-to-day lives, and it's so frustrating. Like just what I just think that
Don't hold back. I've said worse about them. Trust me.
I just think things, the problems that aren't even like down like identity and things like this. Like, what in a day-to-day life does that really matter? Worrying about putting the flags up and having areas. We are this, we are that. We say Derry, we say Londonderry. It's the North, it's Northern Ireland. What does that matter when you're going to pull down Stormont and it's going to increase waiting list times in hospitals? People will genuinely die. And I just think it's baffling. I just think it's baffling why you wouldn't. And then again, it's baffling why people will persist on voting for the same parties that continually do this.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think, from my perspective, I want what will be best for this part of the world. So at the minute, we're getting big support from the UK government. We get support from the Republic. We're kind of, but we'll balls that up one way or other.
Yeah.
I just think the people running the show at the minute are, I know, will this be liable? I'm getting cancelled anyway for what I'm going to say on the stage anyway. Idiots. They're clearly, and it just worries me.
Yeah. I mean, again, I said, I wouldn't worry about what you're saying about them because I have said worse on this podcast. Probably quite expletive rants about how. They're.
It just, and again, what is the alternative? Like what? Because again, obviously the irony.
Well, the AI overlord.
Well, I mean, that's what we need. We need AI overlords to take.
Or the Chinese overlord, or a combination of the two.
I mean, I love Chinese. I would love the Chinese people just come take it over. They do far better.
They do better?
Yeah, of course I would. Now, again, I know that the China's government's a little bit controversial in its own right, but I just think this is just, it's like the children. The logic of our politicians are just, like, for the DUP to be raging about the protocol, which they effectively forced into existence.
Yes.
And what does the protocol do? Well, it gives us benefits.
Yes.
Of both.
Sounds
being
pretty
part
reasonable.
Of, no, because we have to. And it's like, this is the sea border. And you're like, but there already is a sea border because we don't have the exact laws that there is. Well, if you want, have the same abortion rights, have the same gay rights as
the rest of the UK.
And why do people go, but why can't you see this? And you just go, no, because this, and they go, all right. Yeah, people are going, these are the people.
Yeah, people get so wrapped up in it. The thing that confuses me actually about the protocol is that, like, I don't understand why a lot of the checks can't have to be done like there at the port.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you're selling something as a business, right?
Yeah.
You have to, like, be like, right, okay, well, here's where we ordered this thing from. Here's how much we paid. Here was, like, the shipping thing. Here's, like, the VAT. Like, they have to document it all.
Yeah.
My like, honest, like, and genuine, I don't understand why. And it's probably just because it's never been done before.
Uh-huh.
And it was, like, vaguely talked about, but in really stupid ways by the Conservative Party. But, like, I just don't understand why, like, Northern Irish businesses, for example, can't just say, well, do it in your paperwork. Like, we trust you. You're going to document everything. And if you don't, you'll be fined. For me, it feels like you said, like, everyone's just like like the DUP are obviously, I don't think they're trying to do it out of it because they are trying to help people. I think they're opportunistic and.
Well, I mean, that's like I've said it before, and I think that to be leaders of parties, elite level politicians at the high end. Now, I do think there are some politicians who maybe work on a local community level who, have the correct interests and they genuinely believe they're doing it. But then you get to that level, crooks.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah. This is a problem I've been having recently. So I had Brian Class on my show, and he wrote a book called Corruptible.
Yeah.
It was whether we end up with people in power becoming corrupted by the system and by the power they get, or whether the people who would be corrupted by it and are already awful people are the ones that end up in power. And he made me at least think a lot more that perhaps most of our politicians are, I'd say there's a reasonable number who are probably just like fucking sociopaths, but that there are quite a few of them that genuinely think they're helping. They may be doing fucking awful things and they may be horrible people ultimately, but they actually think they're helping.
Yeah.
And that makes me like at least have a little more sympathy for them, because then I can look at it and be like, you're just an idiot.
But then again, you know, for the general public to be outraged, I think we need to be aware that, you know, these people are not perfect people that we think, and they don't hold themselves to a standard.
No, I
that,
wish
you know,
they would take the fucking moral high
Yeah.
ground. I wish someone would take the moral high ground. You know, the Alliance Party used to be really good at it, and they don't. Because you know what's great about the moral high ground is like you can preach and say things, and no one
Yeah.
can come at you for being a hypocrite.
Yeah.
And all of the politicians in Northern Ireland seem to have totally forgotten that.
Another thing too that again I wasn't especially annoyed about was like the whole expenses issue. You go, there is something in place where if you say to a greedy person, you can get way more money if you know, fill out this form like that, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
So don't be, I can't believe he took money to have his moat outside his castle
I
clean.
mean, oh, come
And
on,
you're
the
like,
moat is ridiculous.
you're
Blair,
like,
can you
yeah.
pull that up? The moat.
It is.
One that was a British MP had a moat paid for on his expenses
Yeah.
at his house. I think it was his house, wasn't it?
Yeah,
His house had
was
the moat on it.
It
Yeah.
might have been his house, or it could have been his holiday home. It was something.
One of them.
But then it's like, if that is in place, you could do it. Like, wasn't it? Yeah, was it? No, it was obviously Ian Paisley. wasn't
People
it?
don't want to
He-
give them a pay rise either.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I think that they don't earn enough money, but like people look at the, like, was it like a 77 grand salary, and they go, oh,
Yeah.
they're getting paid too much, and you go,
Yeah. Okay. I've figured that stuff
Yes.
out. Show you here.
okay,
Still like a great photos.
okay.
Conservative, Douglas Hall.
What a brilliant name, Douglas.
Douglas Hogg
£3,200.
picking out on these expenses.
Yeah.
Oh, you got the moat cleaned.
Yeah.
Okay. So they didn't build the moat; they only cleaned
No,
it
just
for
cleaned
him.
it, yeah. That sounds like a euphemism. We got the mine cleaned.
You got the moat
Yeah.
cleaned out. Yeah.
But you know what the thing is?
High class prostitute.
But that's coming in to somebody that's like, right, let me see the expenses, and then they've gone, okay, he needs this. But like, in what world would somebody have a moat that they'd be like, oh, yes, conservatives, yeah, they got a moat, that's no problem.
Yes.
Go ahead.
David Hogg, big C. Oh, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, there you go. But okay, I just think like we need to, you know, look at our politicians and go, they are not, you know, the beacon of good that people react like they may or may not be.
Yeah.
So
No.
this is it. This is a problem, and here we are.
Yeah.
But the worst are comedians.
They are.
They're the ones that should be in prison.
Yes.
For joking.
For joking. All for joking.
Yeah.
But what about if a politician is making bad jokes? Like prison doesn't feel like enough.
Sometimes they'll kill them straight away.
Just straight up.
Absolutely.
But that feels too easy. Then it's over. You know,
Bring
like
back,
a slow death.
Bring back the public execution.
The public execution.
That's the only way to do it. But like, I do think, like, if you ever watch anything in
If you
the
rolled
House
up
of
a
Commons,
if you rolled up a set of gallows in front of Stormont, you'd probably get arrested.
yeah, I would definitely. But I mean, what would be the cause of the arrest there?
Threatening violence, probably.
But you'd be like, no, it's just something I've built. It's
my
I'm
art
not threatening
project.
it. It's a project. Yeah. An installation. Like, do you remember when Jarvis Cocker stormed the Brits at Michael Jackson? He said, I'm doing a performance piece. Same as when Michael Stone storming. It's a performance piece. You're like, well, you had a gun, Michael, and you have a history of pretty awful violence. You know, it's safe to assume you were going to cause us a bit of trouble.
You were trying to break in with weapons, and did he have a bomb as well?
I think it was just a gun on this
Just a
occasion.
gun. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're trying to break in with a gun.
Yeah.
It's like, Michael,
Yeah.
come on, lad. Like, if you weren't trying to break in, maybe you could have pulled that line.
Yeah,
But it was,
performance piece. No,
Yeah.
you're all right. But you just, I don't know. I don't know what you can do with these guys, or whether we just have to accept that people are shit. You know,
Yeah.
and comedians, you know, I don't know.
yeah. Well, they shouldn't be listened to, and they shouldn't be taken seriously.
No, but that was my point. I was going to say there. If you watch in the Commons or Prime Minister's Question Times, Prime Minister's Question Times, but the awful banter and the whoa, and here's the whoa, and
The only
terrible
thing he's
jokes.
social distancing from is the truth.
Yeah,
That
you're
was
like,
the-
whoa. It's like, no.
They get the papers.
Terrible. And then you go, these people, these buffoons are responsible. Oh, gross. Just
Yeah.
gross. And then it's like, you look, you know, like the Bullington Club and all those boys.
yeah.
When you're brought up a certain way, you're going to obviously be entitled. You're going to obviously believe you can do whatever you want. You're going to obviously believe it's what I say, not what I do.
Yeah.
And then why are people surprised by that? Sorry, I keep touching this wire.
That's all right.
Why are
All
people?
right.
Why are people surprised? You just have to go, well, this is what you get.
Yeah. Yeah. it's stunning to me that Britain expected a posh eating fuckboy, because that's what Boris Johnson is.
Yeah.
He is a fuckboy.
I mean, what I would love would be for Keir Starmer to pull that on him.
He's a
Be like,
fuckboy. Just start calling him a fuckboy.
Listen, can I just address the right honourable fuckboy for a second? Just this guy.
If he just started...
Imagine he stood up and he goes, "You're a fuckboy." That would be wow. That would be the politics.
You could claim parliamentary privilege.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I would like to just read out.
I couldn't claim he'd misled the House because it's 100%
Yeah.
accurate.
But doesn't he have like he's a fair amount of children, doesn't he? And they're all
Something like that.
all about the place.
7 children, I think.
Yeah, 7 children from 8 different women. Figure that out. Yeah. The international fuckboy.
Stitched them together.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You look at him and go, the guy, he looks like a toddler. Why has he got that haircut? Like, you can't.
Oh, that's planned. I spoke to someone who knows him. That's planned. That's totally like he'll be sitting in the. I've heard stories. Be sitting in the car.
Yeah.
Right, and you'll see the press brush up his hair.
But why? Just for.
Looks like the everyman.
Yeah.
You know?
mean, he doesn't.
No,
He doesn't.
no, he doesn't. But
No.
there you go. I mean,
But yeah.
well, we just got to clear them all out. I don't like. I need to like somehow get this through people's skulls.
Yeah.
It's like, look, right, you're scared of voting for someone who's not like an established politician, or you don't want to throw your vote away,
Yeah.
or maybe you'll elect some idiot, and it's like, how could they do worse?
Yeah. No,
Like,
I got my folks would be very much, you waste your vote. You do not waste your vote. You have to. I remember when I was living in East
if
Belfast
everyone
at
thinks
one
like
point,
that, then we all do waste our
Yeah.
vote.
I remember looking at my ballot and I cannot actually vote for any of these people. There's no, and you maybe agree with maybe one thing they might have on their paper, and then you go, but all the other things, nah, rather not. And I don't know. It's sad that whenever you go out to vote, it's always the best of a bad bunch.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Always.
I get the feeling that that's probably how it's always been,
Mm-hmm.
and even as that's as long as that people have been able to vote, and that's only like 70 or 80 years since there was like absolute universal suffrage
Yeah.
in the UK, and then maybe it's a little longer than that. I don't know when women got the vote and when they made it one man one vote exactly, but maybe like because democracy is like a fucking experiment, really. Like
Yeah.
you look at the long arc of human history that we're familiar with, and it's like most of it is dictators and
Yeah.
kings. Maybe
Well,
democracy is just not for
What's
us.
to stop somebody just being, right, it's time for the Night of the Long Knives, part 2, and the guys just thought like, well, if the DUP decide, listen, we're gonna be the second party, nah, we're going in on all out, we're ousting people, like, what would we do? A coup? Would they get the army in? What would happen?
Closest thing we've had to a fucking coup
Yeah.
was that fucking thing in January 6th in America.
Yeah.
That was I don't know if you've seen a real coup. That was not a fucking coup.
No.
That was a bunch of
No.
idiots who got let in
Yeah.
and then prosecuted. I feel so bad for those people.
Yeah.
Because like there was some of them who were like breaking windows and climbing in,
Yeah.
right? But there's a lot of footage of the police just opening the fucking
But
doors.
what about? But why is Donald Trump being taken off Twitter for that?
I mean, the Taliban are still on Twitter.
Yeah.
He got taken off Twitter for, I think, inciting it. But yeah, I don't know.
He was just, I think, trying to have banter by running for president, and got it. They were like, "Donald, you're president now," and he's like, "Oh no, I don't know what to do." And then he's like, "I'll wing it, and then it's just his
People,
narcissism.
they love me.
But like, if I was him, if I was his PR guy, I'd be like, "Listen, Donald, it is what it is. It's done now. Let's do the late night shows. Let's have banter about it. Let's
Yeah.
joke out. Tell some secrets you can tell."
Yeah.
And because I mean, I think Donald Trump, definitely not a president, for sure not a president. But I mean, he has the ability to entertain. He is a character. And if he went out and if he came out and was like, "Listen, that was a performance piece," and and then he spoke with this voice.
I was trolling.
I don't actually speak like that.
Yeah.
I put that voice on. I don't mean it at all. And they'd be like,
It's like just
yeah,
pure like
performance.
kayfabe
Yeah,
wrestling, like
he's a-
just
yeah.
WWE.
Yeah,
like
he's
that
like,
was
"Listen,
the character.
It's like Sacha Baron Cohen's not Borat. I'm not Trump. It's like, well, what?
So does he have like a really posh, affected British accent as well?
I led you to believe I was a buffoon. And all I had to do was purse my lips and talk a little bit like this. And you fell for it. And it's like, but then you won the election. It's like, yeah, I didn't think that was going to happen. Yeah.
I don't think anyone thought it was going to happen. Apparently, he was terrified on election night. More interestingly, you'll like this. Apparently, when he did that press conference, the first one he did, when he came out and he came down on the fucking elevator, as if he'd watched the fucking Simpsons scene.
Yes.
And he comes down the elevator and he stands up there and he's like, Mexico, they're not sending their best people.
Yeah.
They're drug addicts and rapists and whatever the fuck he said, right?
Yeah, and his PR guys just
No. Do you know why that was booked? It was apparently because he wanted more money from NBC to do The Apprentice, and they told him to fuck off. And he said, "Well, I'll show you how popular I am." Seriously, this is how the story goes.
Well believe that, yeah.
And he went, "Well, I'll show you how popular I am. I'll call this press conference and pretend to run for president." And then it just spiraled from there. Like CNN. CNN are the people that are responsible more than like if you're gonna give anyone like credit for that. They started airing his fucking speeches in their entirety.
Yeah.
They didn't do that for anyone else. He trolled them. He came out 2 hours late at events because he knew they would show an empty Trump podium.
Yeah.
Like he trolled the fuck out of them and they give him like I think it was like $1 billion in free airtime.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. It's so funny if it didn't have the consequences it did, but it's unbelievable.
The worst consequence is what we have now. It's Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Because people hated Donald Trump so much, right, that they would vote for a corpse.
Yeah. But then I think wasn't the idea there that he would only just be the figurehead for a minute and then he would be disposed of.
Well, which is even worse if I'm honest, because like they have Kamala Harris as the VP.
Well, what I like about her, she just does put people in prison. So
she does.
Respect.
That is a fair point. Maybe that's what we need.
Yeah, she'll just come in and be like jail for Trump.
She's a cop.
What she should see if she went in and did a Trump impression whilst calling for him to be arrest him. That would be the greatest bit of political satire.
Then we know it's all just performance art.
Yeah.
But then at least we could maybe enjoy it a bit more.
Yeah, but I mean, at least there's the pomp and pat. Here it's just sad.
Yeah.
Here it's just. Oh,
Is it just the accent though? Does that make it seem worse?
yeah.
Because that's sometimes when I'm watching them on TV and I'm just like, is it like what is making you sound so dumb? Like what is making you? Because I don't think these people. I don't think that they're dumb, right? Mm-hmm. They're maybe not like the sharpest tools in the box, but like they a few of them are like, have to be like they're pretty well educated, and I think that they're not idiots at all.
But when you see some of their rap sheets, you go, "Oh, right." Like Jim Wells, he is a very educated man, very intelligent man. But then again, I look at him.
You see him on fucking Nolan, and you're like, you're an idiot.
But then I think though a bit of me thinks he does. He performs a bit and knows what he's doing, and he is a bit of a wind-up merchant, I think. And like with Nolan, everyone gets so annoyed about it. But then I just say, he's doing what he is supposed to do. He's getting everyone talking. He's riling people up. Do you think he thinks? No. He's getting all these numbers because people want to either. It's like you were saying about wrestling there. They say you just want hate from an audience, whether you're a villain or a good guy, as long as they react. And that's what Nolan's about, just getting a reaction. And people bite every time.
Yeah.
Every time, good or bad.
Yeah, they really do. And like, I mean, he's the best paid journalist in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
And the most watched show.
Yeah.
Do you know what this is actually? This is the exact same thing as Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
People don't like Stephen Nolan. They want him off the thing. It's just like no one is coming up with a better and more popular thing than him.
Yeah. And what I would love would be if Stephen Nolan got £100 million to bring the Nolan show to Spotify. That would be
great, because then he'd be off our fucking radio.
But he would find a way back, because everyone's like, oh, Nolan's this, Nolan's that, he's a lazy big whatever. And you're like, but he's one of the hardest working guys you'll see. He just flat out works. That's what he. So you would be like, I'll still do my show, but then I'll also do, the 5 Live show, and I'll hop on Spotify to even find a way. Yeah. Say like you mightn't like the guy, but
I mean, he's pulled some fucking stupid stunts in his time.
Yeah,
I remember when I was in uni, he was chasing students around the whole. He was like, we got warned on the rag pub crawl.
Yeah,
that I was in charge of for some fucking reason, or leading at least, and I was like leading one of the, because they split you up into a whole bunch of like different groups. Yeah. And so then you have to go in a different route. So I was in charge of one of the groups, and we were like getting texts and getting told that we shouldn't, like, don't go near the Holy Lands. And if you see Stephen Nolan, get everyone out and away from wherever he is immediately. Because he was going around trying to film students on the Rag pub crawl, the biggest
Yeah.
pub crawl of the year in Freshers Week. He was trying to get footage of students just, being fucking drunk and fall about lights, which is like exactly what students do,
Yes.
exactly what you'd expect on the biggest pub crawl of the Freshers Week.
But again, that's what he wants, and he I know he gets what he wants.
No
and
one
he
gets
is-
what he wants.
But like, I love the way he's almost like a spectre there. He is somewhere in the night. You just need to watch out because you'll be about
Appear
him.
in the mist like Bagger
Like, yeah,
Laden.
he will look for you and he will find you. And that's like Stephen Nolan with his mic. But he's
Someone needs to make that like the it thing in
Yeah.
in the drain. Just
Yeah.
Stephen Nolan with a mic.
we all float down here. There you go.
Because that is gutter journalism.
Yeah, but again, that's what gets. And unfortunately now, like we see it with comedy, it's less so now about whether something you do is funny. It's more about will it get hits, will people get eyes on it, will it get likes? Like, what is that currency? You can like steal people's jokes. You can read, you can do whatever you want, but if it gets eyes on it, that's what seems to matter. Oh, so and so's got X amount of followers. So and so's, and then that doesn't make them good at what to do. And Stephen Nolan gets all the ears. Gotta get like, how annoyed have you to be to phone that show? Fucking Stephen, you have to be like, why? It's like writing a comment on YouTube. Just don't. You know, just if you don't like something, go, I don't like that. Why make somebody else sad because you don't like it?
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't count the number of times I type an angry response on Twitter and then
Yeah.
just go, no, not worth it.
Yeah, because I had something happen to me. I saw a negative comment, and it wasn't actually one of mine, but it was on another comedian's page, and I just thought, "You're what an arsehole this guy is." And then and the name rang a bell because I'd seen him write something negative on my stuff before, and then I went and looked at his profile picture and went, "You're just a really sad man. Like you're to be pitied. God love you, rather than oh no, that because this." And then you look and go, "This guy's not." This guy knows nothing about comedy. What his opinion does not matter. Get in your box. Enjoy your Man United games. Enjoy your Doritos, and keep out of my life. And I think if you actually go and look at trolls, you'll feel sorry for them more than not.
That's probably quite true.
But maybe do that. Maybe don't arrest people for making jokes. Maybe arrest trolls. What about that? Or like find out who they are and shame them. Something like that instead.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the doxing because I like people. I have serious conflicts about what I feel about it because I both believe in the freedom of the internet and freedom of speech and people's right to anonymity because I believe anonymity is good in a lot of settings because, for example, it allows people to discuss things that they couldn't if they put who they were on the title.
Yeah.
Like say that there's scientists working on something that's considered highly controversial.
But then they could find out though anyway, can't
Well,
they?
they can find out anyway, but at least gives people like some sort of anonymity.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, oh God, should people be just allowed on the internet to just say whatever? Because like maybe that is like not great, but then, it's such a difficult thing because it's such a new technology as well. Like one guy I was speaking to, what was his name? Paolo Gerbado, he's a professor at King's College London, I think. Anyway, we were talking about he was basically saying, look, there is never a time in the history of humanity in which we have been able to have access to everybody's constant thoughts all the time, all their opinions, everything they think, every whimsical little thing that enters their mind can end up online, and we have to wade through the madness of humans in order, and that's what Twitter is. It's the craziest, stupidest thoughts that you have just wired directly to the internet. And like he thinks that we're not capable of handling it.
Yeah. Well, I just think anyone that trolls me should be arrested, put in prison. That's
That's right. So when we expand McGarry,
we're going to rebuild.
We're going to rebuild it.
Maze
the
2.
maze
cubed.
Maze cubed.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Right. And then
we're going to make it a 3-dimensional next generation super prison. It's going to have it's going to be like one of whenever they had the 2002 World Cup in Korea and Japan, they like built a load of removable pitches that you could just come out of the stadium. We're going to have it be. I know where McGarry's situated. It's going to be a big ask, but it's a removable prison that can go onto the ocean and it can float to Madagascar.
Like Escape Plan.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that film?
Yes, that's very strange. Yeah. But But it's gonna be a super prison, and it's gonna go to Madagascar.
Yes.
It's gonna send all the trolls.
Yes,
back
all
to
the
Below.
send the trolls to Madagascar.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what I'm going to title this episode.
Send the trolls
Send the
to
trolls to Madagascar.
Yeah, there we go. That's problem solved with the ruling parties of the country as well.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
send them into both sides,
Politicians and trolls.
not just DUP. Both sides. Send
Yeah,
them.
I mean, to be honest, there's probably quite a big crossover there. Like, what would you do if you found out all the trolls on the internet were all just the politicians?
I would. My mind would not be. It would be blown, but then when I think about it, it wouldn't.
No.
And I'd just be like, get in the maze cubed. And
Get in the maze cube.
Get yourself to Madagascar, friend. But then would they rise? It's like, when they say the evolution of from an amoeba to a person, would they be able to rise up in Madagascar and overthrow the Madagascan government?
Maybe.
Take over.
Maybe.
And would you have the likes of would Jim Wells
Maybe it would
be
maybe
the
it
number
would
one
become a
guy in
utopia.
Madagascar? Could be.
All the trolls forced to be together. Maybe it'd be like a couple of weeks in, like it'd be like that Simpsons episode where they leave the bullies in the locked in the storeroom, and then they the last scene before then when they realize, and it cuts to them and the bullies are like, I guess that's why I lash out at people, man. They're they've all got over their bullying and given each other therapy. Maybe that's what would happen.
I mean,
Maybe we just need to lock them in Stormont.
well, no, because then you'd have somebody dressed like a buffalo would find their way through. That was the thing. Remember they rammed they rammed the city hall. And you're all, no surrender. That was our equivalent of the 6th of January. These guys, it would just be people like that.
It was just as stupid and embarrassing.
Ridiculous. But I've got it. Have you ever seen or heard of the television show Naked and Afraid?
I think so.
I mean, it sounds like my love life, but it's basically where they take people and they strip them naked and they drop them in random islands, so they have to survive. So they have to make fire and
But
shelter.
they drop them totally naked.
Yeah,
With anything?
but no,
Nothing.
I think now. Could you check Naked and Afraid
can we
as a
check it
show?
out, Blair?
But I think you may be allowed one thing. So maybe
One
it's
thing.
like fire starter
Right.
or like a
would
shelter
you
or a
take?
bucket. I would take probably a machete.
I'm a shadow.
Yeah.
I'm a shadow.
I just killed the
Is that
person
the
with
correct
it.
pronunciation?
I think probably, I don't know. I'm not fluent in any language. Machete and Naked and Afraid.
Naked and Afraid. What's it saying for us?
Tremendous.
Oh, the site is not available in your country. Of course not. Well, yeah, it says at the top there. Scroll back up. Say each survivalist is allowed to bring one helpful item, such as a machete. Ah, there you go, or
There
a
you go.
machete, or a fire starter. After they meet at the sign, but the partners must also they get dropped a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
But still all naked.
Yeah.
Why do they have to be naked? Why can't they just have some clothes?
Because people.
Then the title wouldn't work. Somewhat clothed and afraid.
Yeah. Scantily clad and scared. Yeah.
This sounds more like you're advertising some porno channel.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound like that. But what I think you should do, this is could you go back in there? We second see the locations. So this is if you go
down
down to
there, yeah,
where
they've got
some.
that.
So you can be. Please tell me, Madagascar is there. Brilliant. So,
Perfect.
So
So they've already tried it. They've got proof of concept.
So I mean, you would like to I've been in Namibia and I've been to South Africa. They're cozy countries. I wouldn't mind being naked there. Now, would I like to be naked in the United Kingdom?
Bit burnt. Huh?
Not so much. But then you cover yourself in mud, don't you? And
Is that how you? Is that what they do? They cover themselves in
yourself
mud.
Protect yourself. What I would think my suggestion is you take politicians from opposing parties.
Yes.
Naked
Force
and
them to
afraid
do naked and afraid.
Yes. I mean, I think
We all want. No, actually, I'm not sure that we want to see Jim Wells and Michelle O'Neill naked building a hut together.
I mean, I could look past the horror that would do and, quite enjoy it. I think it would be a lot of fun. And Michelle Gildernew and Edwin Poots, it could be a lot of fun. I mean, there's something. The casting call, survive the 21-day challenge.
Oh, okay.
Naked After Dark. That sounds like a porno.
Following the success of the live talk show Shark After Dark, Naked After Dark, with a new episode, host Josh Wolf talked to the cast. Oh, okay. It's just it's like The Apprentice,
Alright, okay.
It's like the add-on one, whatever you call it. What was The Apprentice one after it finished? Like The Apprentice,
I don't even remember. That's one of those ones that's going
You're Fired. That's it. The
Yes,
Apprentice, You're Fired. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would be a way to, again, to leave prejudice at the door with your clothes. and just survive together. There you go, Naked and Afraid.
Naked and
our
Afraid.
The celebrity special.
I feel like that. Like, how long have we been going now?
We just take a time here, 1 second. We're currently at 1 hour 13 minutes.
Well, that feels like a nice place
There
to
we
leave
go.
things.
So there we are.
Naked and Afraid
Naked and Afraid in Madagascar.
in Madagascar. Thanks a lot, man. It's been a lot of
It's been
fun.
a lot of fun.
Bye, everyone. Sweet. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the podcast. If you want to leave us a comment, that would be awesome. Please like, share, subscribe, and if you're listening on Apple, please leave us a review. Until next time, thanks for listening.